Ascended Heroes definitely brought a few changes to the metagame. It didn't bring any new groundbreaking archetypes, none of the mega new EXs are really truly powerful, but Pokepad on its own has definitely benefited quite a few decks, and End Zekrom has definitely pushed Zorg to a whole new level. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at a quick update on my previous video on the tier list, making some corrections now that we have a lot more results and we can make these decisions based on actual data and not just guesswork from purely theoretical scenarios. So starting off in tier 4, I have added 3 decks, Rocket's Honchkrow, Mega Lucario, and Mega Venusaur, which were not present in the previous tier list. All of these decks, along with the ones that were there before, are definitely fringe decks. They haven't been too successful. They will have the time in the spotlight once rotation happens, but this is not a post-rotation video. This is a current format video, and therefore they are at best tier 4 decks that have some decent matchups so far, but overall they are not powerful enough to compete at the highest level. Next up in tier 3, we have a brand new addition of Crustle. Crustle has been quite successful this past weekend in Curitiba, Brazil. It had a lot of good results. The super refined Crustle decks that are using Spike Energy and the Ice Cream card, and also for Pokepad to really boost the consistency of the deck, making it so that your opponent has to go through 2 or 3 different Crussles, makes it really hard for them to actually get past all of them if you're able to be aggressive. So Crustle, definitely a much more threatening deck at the moment. Still one of those decks that if it gets popular enough, it probably gets easily countered, and therefore it will never be a tier 2 or definitely never a tier 1 deck. But so far, Crustle has been doing better than expected thanks to Pokepad, and that's why we brought it up from tier 4 all the way to tier 3. Now, I do want to say that Alakazam is currently in tier 3. However, it continues to get decent results. It is decently popular as well. So if this trend continues for this weekend in Houston, and then finally in Querétaro and Orlando, which are the last events in the Ascended Heroes format, maybe Alakazam is like one of the best tier 3 decks, or maybe one of the worst tier 2 decks. But Alakazam is definitely gaining some ground based on its continuous results. However, it seems to be like 1 or 2 standout players that do well with Alakazam, and then everyone else gets a mediocre result. Now moving on to tier 2, we have 2 new additions. First off, we have Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt is another deck that has consistently been getting better and better results. It has now top cut 2 out of the last 3 events, one of which wasn't in the Ascended Heroes metagame, but it did get top 8 in Curitiba. Yerko Valencia continues to pilot the deck super well, and therefore I think Raging Bolt has a bit more merit right now. The metagame also shifting towards like a heavy Mega Absol presence, heavy Zoroark presence as well. That definitely favors Raging Bolt in some way. Gardevoir has also been dropping in usage numbers at least, and that's also very good news for Raging Bolt. So overall, the metagame seems to be adapting to certain conditions that really favor Raging Bolt, and therefore I have moved it from tier 3 up to tier 2. And then I also have Frostlass. I have to admit, from my previous tier list, I had Frostlass in tier 4. That was a big mistake, probably due to faulty testing, probably due to not enough testing, but Frostlass has now gained my respect, especially after playing more with it, and also the results it had in Brazil and Puerto Rico special championships. So Frostlass now at tier 2 deck works very similar to Grimmsnarl, obviously has a different approach in terms of trying to item lock the whole game versus Grimmsnarl and the aggression that it can produce, but because they're very similar decks and Grimmsnarl is such a powerful deck right now and continues to do well, Frostlass is also on that tier. Could even be better than Grimmsnarl as it is a little bit more focused on its main strategy, which is getting multiple Frostlass, multiple Munkidori, and now with Pokepad, getting all of that out is very easy. You don't have to rely on Technical Machine Evolution, and you don't have to pay the cost of Ultra Ball, so Pokepad really brought this deck to a whole new level, and that's why it goes up to tier 2. Now I do want to say that Charizard remains in tier 2, but so far the increase in this Frostlass type decks, the increase in Dragapult as well in consistency and popularity makes it so Charizard is really struggling. So Charizard is on watch to maybe be dropped to tier 3 in the near future, depending on how it does this weekend in Houston. And finally, we have Tier 1, which has a brand new addition in Zorg. And Sacrum is really that good. The versatility of Darmanitan, Reshiram, and Sacrum now gives Zorg so many options to work with and to be able to adapt to various situations. Of course, bench management becomes super important for the deck, but I think we are seeing Zorg in its best version yet since its release, and therefore it is a deck that should be considered a Tier 1 deck. It is now gaining a lot more popularity. It's not just being played by 1 or 2 people or a very small group of people that are finding success. It's now a more widely played deck, it's now showing up in bigger numbers, and it definitely got a lot of really good results in Curitiba, Brazil, and therefore it goes up to a Tier 1 deck based on its newfound strength and also its newfound popularity. And yeah, that's the update for the Ascended Heroes tier list. If you want to see the previous analysis, I'll leave a link to the previous video down below. Let me know your thoughts. This is not a post-rotation video. Please do not ask things about post-rotation in this video. That has nothing to do, nothing that is being talked about in this particular video has anything to do with post-rotation. Things will change with post-rotation, but that is not happening yet. This is a video for people who are trying to become regional champion this weekend or want to play League Cups and League Challenges this weekend. Not for post-rotation. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Si estás buscando algún producto o carta de Pokémon, puedes encontrarlo en hyperbeamcards.com y utiliza el código tablemon para un 5% de descuento en tu compra.